Tomorrow, on July the 17th, there's a new moon in Cancer, meaning that the conscious identity of the sun meets the subconscious identity of the moon, and they've joined forces where they are shining a light on the new direction that we should all be taking, rebirthing our identity. Alongside this new moon tomorrow in Cancer is the unfolding of the moon's nodes, meaning that the nodes are moving. The north node is moving from Taurus into Aries, and the south node is moving away from Scorpio into Libra. Now, these two events are calling for how are you going to reimagine your new identity where you're placing self care and self love at the center of it. So, in today's show, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sharing some nuggets with regards to the meaning of this new moon. I'm going to touch on the nodes because about a month ago, I did a show around the nodes. I'm also going to indicate why you should be paying attention to Pluto in Capricorn. And I'm going to suggest 4 potential areas that you might want to be planting new seeds and new intentions as this new moon moves through Cancer. But before I do any of that, if you're one of my regulars, welcome back. Great to see you here. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Bybreen Samuels, and I help baby boomers reinvent themselves psychologically, practically, and technically so they can thrive in their third act of life. So here we are on the cusp of this new moon in Cancer. Now, it's the most potent and important new moon of the year. And the reason being is because the moon actually rules Cancer. And so the moon is dignified here. The moon is very much at home. So some of the characteristics associated with this new moon is about nourishment, nurturing, self-care, self-esteem, self-love. Also, Cancer is about the family. The moon is about protection. So there's the associations with your family, your ancestral family, the karmic journey of your family, and how can you begin to nourish yourself in a new way? So that gives you a sense of what the sun and the moon are inviting all of us to step into, this new identity about self-care. Now, alongside this, we have the shifting of the nodes, and it's important because the nodes are moving into the powerful sign of Aries, which is all about identity, self-identity, leading yourself in a new direction. So for the next 18 months that coincides with this new moon tomorrow is about which identity are you now going to choose to live in more powerfully, more intentionally with now that the nodes, the north node moves into Aries. So it's really powerful because we have this new moon and the nodes in Aries and Cancer, and they are both in cardinal signs. Now, a cardinal sign is usually associated with the quadrants of the chart. So just imagine it's a cross. And you have the first house, which is the house of I, which is very much associated with Aries. Then you have the fourth house, which is the house of family, home, which is associated with the moon. The seventh house is about relationships, and the 10th house is about your public standing, your career in the world. And that's why it's so important that we have these two astrological shifts taking place in cardinal signs that require you to be in action. It's not a time to be contemplating. It's a time to make decisions, clear decisions that's going to move you from point A to point B. So that gives you a sense of what this new moon is about. What's really important is that this new moon, the sun and the moon are opposing. There's an opposition between this new moon phase that starts tomorrow with Pluto. And Pluto is in Capricorn. Now, Pluto first entered Capricorn in late 2008 and left Capricorn earlier this year to move into Aquarius. However, for the rest of the year, it has retrograded back into Capricorn. Now, Pluto is a very significant planet. And if you have planets in Capricorn, they would have been affected by Pluto because Pluto is about transformation. Pluto is about breaking down the old to give birth to something new. And Pluto visits a sign every 248 years. So it's a very long cycle. But also, any planets in the sign that Pluto enters, it's a symbol of the energy here is too old and it needs revitalizing. So that's the context of Pluto. So this sign of transformation is opposing this new moon energy of nourishment and care. And so the question that Pluto, in its opposition to this new moon, is kind of asking you, inviting you to think about, where are you carrying the weight, the burdens of your own limitations? Where are you holding yourself back? Where have you self governed yourself in a way just to kind of get through life? But actually, it's holding you back. And this very powerful, we've got Pluto in Capricorn, which is about the authority figures in the world, but it also relates to your own sense of authority, your own sense of power. As a baby boomer, have you been giving up your power in a way where it's left you depleted? This opposition with the sun and the moon is this beautiful invitation for you to own your power, to reclaim your power. And the way that you're going to use the power is to think about, where can I let go of my burdens that I have placed myself in? When am I actually going to own this new identity where I am nourished, where I am given to? Because maybe, obviously, as a boomer, you've lived 6 decades, 7 decades plus. And there may have been lots of externalization of you giving very much the moon, giving to others. Could be family members, it could be friendship, it could be through work, but there's a lifetime of giving in a way that if you were to balance the two, there's been a depletion in terms of your own energy. And this new moon says, hold on a minute. This is gentle. This is soft. This is about caring. And instead of externalizing always, the idea is certainly over the next month, but because it coincides with the shift in the node, this is about you. You are being spotlighted. As I said, this new moon is the most powerful moon of the year. It's in summer, so that's where the light is shining on all of us, but also it's in the sign that the moon rules. So the question here for you is, where do you need nourishing? One of the things or the areas that the moon governs is about family. Are there family histories? Are there family traumas? Are there family karmas? Are there family ways of being that you have gone along with, just accepted? Now is the time for you to consider, actually, how are they nourishing my world? But given as a boomer who's in their 60s and beyond, you could live for at least the next 20, 30 years. What is this new identity that you want to give birth to? You want to give life to? Also, think about coming home to yourself. What's your internal world looking like? The new moon is shining its light there. You've got this conscious identity shown by the sun, how you want to be perceived in the world. And then you've got this subconscious identity of the moon. What's really going on internally? Where's your mood at? What shifts need to be made in that direction? Also, the moon is about mothering. You may have mothered so many, but how have you mothered yourself? How can you begin to mother yourself? And the person that keeps knocking at your interior door is your younger self, the child you, the divine child inside you that keeps knocking at the door to say, hey, we need to have some fun here. Hey, we need to have more self care. So Pluto plays a very powerful role in terms of reigniting and waking up. How do you begin to own your power? It ties in, as I say, with the North Node in Aries, which is very powerful. And when we think about the natural zodiac chart that starts with Aries, just imagine Aries is the first house, Taurus the second, and then you work your way round to the 12th house. Aries is about self-leadership. It's the first house. And then the opposition, where Libra is is the seventh house, and it's about relationships, relating to other people. So the energy as of from tomorrow, certainly through this new moon energy, but for the next 18 months, how can you reshape your identity where you're leading it from the front? As I mentioned earlier, it's a cardinal sign, the sign of action. No more talking yourself away from your power base, but the power base is softened, not diffused, but softened in terms of what is it that your soul is calling for. Now, this has been aided again because there's a beautiful energy between the new moon, sun and the moon, and it's forming a trine with Neptune. And Neptune is in the sign it rules of Pisces. So we have two planets here, the moon in Cancer, water, and then we have Neptune in Pisces, water. So it's calling for a cooling down in your life. There's a lovely energy whereby it's time to dream. So you have the moon trining Neptune. Let go of your everyday burdens, and it's time to daydream, to bring your dreams to life. With the sun, and it's forming this connection with Neptune, is now the time for you to be exploring your spiritual identity, and within that, allowing yourself to appreciate the nuances of the kind of depths and realities of life. So it's a beautiful, harmonious journey. And it's about how can you nourish yourself by being in water, by using water, by being refreshed by what water can do to you and do for you. Now, the ruler of Pluto in Capricorn is Saturn. And Saturn equally is in Pisces. Now, it's not forming a trine in the way that the Sun, Moon, and Neptune are trining, but Saturn's at about 7 degrees of Pisces, and the new moon is at 24 degrees of Cancer. So there's a separation, but nonetheless, there's a harmony between Cancer and Pisces. Now, when you have Saturn in Pisces, Saturn doesn't really like to be there because Saturn wants to be in charge. Whereas here, what Saturn does bring, because of this harmonious relationship between the sun and the moon, Saturn is saying you no longer need to fear, your anxieties. You don't need to be anxious about anything else. Actually, now is a time for you to reset your own structures around what is going to nourish you, which is beautiful. Sun, moon, Cancer, nourishment, nurturing, imbibing, healing, soothing, the gentle journey. Its opposition to Pluto. How are you going to reclaim your power? Time to step into that. Now, Pluto equally plays another pivotal role because, as I mentioned, as of tomorrow, the nodes are changing from Taurus into Aries, that's the north node, and from Scorpio into Libra, which is the south node. Now, Pluto is squaring both of the nodes. So Pluto and the nodes are in a T square. And so Pluto is this anchoring planet. Now, when a planet squares the nodes, it's called a skipped step. And what this means is that the energy of the planet that is squaring hasn't been integrated fully. So here is another signature that is saying to you, calling you. Pluto is squaring the north node. So we have Capricorn energy, power and control, squaring personal power and control of Aries. How have you begun to integrate personal power? And then we have Libra equally squaring Capricorn. Again, how are you going to shift the dynamics of your relationship that enable you to be empowered so you can be the phoenix that rises from the ashes? So the wonderful connection and collaboration of the planets, the new moon in Cancer with its opposition to Pluto in Capricorn. And then we have Saturn in Pisces, which is saying it's okay, you can reclaim your power, you can set up another structure. This is how you begin to integrate what it is that this new moon energy is calling for. And I want to end with this quote, and it's by Leonard Cohen. And the quote says, "There is a break in everything, there's a crack in everything, and therein is where the light can come in." So, this new moon in Cancer, in the height of summer, is shining this beautiful light in terms of the areas that you need to nourish and nurture yourself. And so allow the crack so the light can come flooding into your life. And with that, you can start planting your seeds, and areas that you might want to think about where you could plant these new seeds could be about biologically. Is your body calling for a new identity that helps to nourish you? You could be doing, I don't know, let's say a physical fitness or fitness exercise regime that allows you to heal yourself, care for yourself. Is it from the imagination? We have this moon trine Neptune. How can you use your imagination to ignite your dreams? Neptune is the higher octave of creativity. It could be artistically. Artistically, what could you be doing? Is there an old project that you've sort of put on the back burner and you want to reignite again? Will be a wonderful way to do this. And then lastly, the fourth area is business. Is there that business idea that's been sort of parked at the back of your mind? And maybe now, as you're thinking of giving life to this new idea, and the idea around business is sensitive, it's caring. What kind of creative, caring endeavor could you start that's going to enable you to shine in the world, but also feed that inner child, that inner you, the adult you and the child you that can harmoniously journey together? So that's what I wanted to share with you with this new moon. I'd love to hear how you're integrating it and what you're going to do this week. Maybe you're going to go swimming. Open water swimming. I can't wait to get back into that. Maybe you're going to go and have a sauna. Maybe you're going to nourish yourself in a way that soothes you, nourishes you, and really establishes this path towards self care. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you today. Wishing you well for this week. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel and share this with other fabulous baby boomers in your life. And I will see you again next Sunday here at 3:30. Bye bye.